Welcome, folks, to another edition of RSF Radio. I am your host, Joe Monday. And with me tonight is a very special guest. You might know him from the Cooperation Cup. You might know his works with SBO. Or you might just be a fan of his Twitch channel or YouTube, or you visited the Arlipedia. It's Arlieth. How you doing, man?
Hey, wow, you actually got my name right.
So many people get it wrong. It's actually funny. And the episode where I talked about, and this was months ago at this point, the episode where I talked about Cooperation Cup, the number of people who get your name wrong, even when you're there, is astounding to me.
Funny story, at Wednesday Night Fights, I have had a TO call for my name correctly. And then Mr. Vai himself turns around and goes, no, it's Arlieth. And the both of us look at him like, bruh.
Is that like, is it like a joke at this point? Is that a long running joke, or is that just what it is?
It just seems to be what it is, because sometimes I'll just shorten it to Arlie. And I think that's what causes
I think that's a trick, though. When you shorten it to Arlie, that leads people to think, it puts in their brain that it's always Arlie. And
right.
I get it on the shortening. It makes sense. You can say Arlipedia. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. Plus, it's a Y. So that's a whole new can of worms. But what can people find at Arlipedia? Because there's a kind of a lot there, and I don't think it gets covered enough. Or at least put out there enough. So
I had a lot of plans for it, and then they became, this is an unsustainable scope of work. But for now, it has become some tracking of various tech that I'd find with Vega, just use that as a documentation resource. I've also documented a schedule of all of Capcom Pro Tour North America events, including reminders of when registration deadlines would be coming up. This was partly in response to me booking my flights to CEO last year and then forgetting to register. Oh no, I'm sorry. Was it Combo Breaker? It was one of those two tournaments.
Yeah.
Where it was CEO. I showed up and I had forgotten to register, and I bodied so many people in casuals with Vega, with a character that they had no idea how to play against, because Vega players are so rare.
Yeah, there's less and less of them.
And it was like, bruh, how did you do in the tournament? Did you make it out of the pool? And I'm like, I went, oh no. So after botting myself epically, I decided to make a calendar with a better documentation on it. And being that Capcom didn't really put out a decent updated calendar this year for that would be updated through Google Calendar or whatnot, I just decided to do my own.
Yeah, we're kind of struggling with the same thing of there not being a very good calendar. We're actually going off of like SRK's calendar now, but that's kept up by like Mushin Z and what he does.
Yeah, there's also, what's his name? Ace King Offsuit also does some good scheduling stuff, but he doesn't post things in advance on a more macro level. Yeah,
he's very laser focused on getting you all the information you need for a weekend, like ready that week. Yeah, he's typically I almost always link his stuff on the sub just to let people know, like, hey, this is more information that anyone's going to give you. Like, period. Because he found all the stuff. It's all the things. Here it is.
I suppose I should also do one for Third Strike tournaments. Although there are precious few.
Yeah, that might be useful.
Cooperation Cup would be a good one to do.
I mean, obviously. Clearly. Can you expand on Cooperation Cup? Because I've talked about it on the show before. It is my favorite tournament of the year. It kicks things off. It's one of those things that it usually comes at the start of the year, and it's this refresher where it kicks off the year in a good positive note, at least in terms of fighting games. Like, let's say, this year being kind of a nightmare season for many other reasons, like in real life stuff. But when you can look forward to fighting games and you see Cooperation Cup and how it's run and just the general mood of everyone there, as someone with boots on the ground over there, what's it like?
So the first thing that people should know about Cooperation Cup is it's a third strike tournament that has always and will always be run on exclusively on arcade equipment. So every year, Matsuda, the owner of Game Newton, will round up his network of fellow arcade operators and owners, and they all pull their cabinets together, their Astro Cities with with Sanwa parts and the coin mechanism still attached and everything, and with dying CPS3 it's a CPS3 board on it.
CPS3 board,
which may or may not be running. I can't say the word, but may or may not be running certain types of software that can bypass the security cart and battery suicide restrictions. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. It's a 5-on-5 tournament, single elimination, single match. You get one shot to prove your glory.
I love it.
Or let your team down, and you have the craziest team compositions I have ever seen in a tournament. There will be. You want to see Q? You want to see Sean, Remy, Hugo?
Oh man, God. the Remy this year.
Oh, we didn't know who he was at first because he went under the name Lucifer, but it turned out it was Pierrot the entire time.
Okay.
And he's a infamous Remy. He's probably the best Remy player in the world. Has been for many years.
Because I was watching that stream being like, Lucifer? Who the hell is Lucifer?
Yeah.
Who is this Remy who came out of nowhere and bodied people?
He was wrecking teams by himself. We're just like, oh my God, he's up against one of the top Yun players who won like several years ago. And what the hell? So it's just, Third Strike is one of those games where you have the mechanics and the core engine have so much depth to them that, unlike a game such as, say, Super Turbo, where you can absolutely be put into a checkmate situation.
Yes.
And the opponent can only be maybe one step ahead of you, but you're already dead because there's nothing your character can physically do about it. Third Strike has the almighty parry, of course, as well as all sorts of option selects. And it's
weird option selects that take advantage of systems within the game that probably were not intended.
Oh, absolutely not.
No. Straight up bugs.
So many bugs. It's just that there's been so much emergent strategy coming out of these bugs that it's created this game that is, quite frankly, mind-blowing.
Yeah, the depth is as deep as the ocean and as terrifying, right? The options that you are given and like the things that you have to think about what your opponent might be trying to do and your responses to that is just it. When you see high level Third Strike play, it is probably the most entertaining game to watch. I would say that.
And you can tell when multiple layers of meta have happened. Like a transaction, just an exchange of blows.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's kind of one of those things where it's obvious whenever like you see someone just like empty jump in. Like it's like, okay, well, you might have been fishing for a parry there and then trying to react. There's just so many examples of that.
I'll give you a quick example of something that would look totally foreign or alien to a Street Fighter V player.
Oh yeah, please
you knock your opponent down, right? Yeah. Say it's a Shota, say it's Ken, all right? And on his wake up, you're like the other character jumps and then Ken wakes up and then dashes forward and then attempts to get an anti-air attack on the opponent that jumped. And the reason why the reason why, let's just say it was me that jumped, right? The reason why I jumped, the Makoto.
I should say, by the way, people, Arlieth, for people who don't know him or people who don't follow Third Strike, probably the best Makoto in America.
I wouldn't say that anymore.
Okay.
I'm still pretty out of practice, all things considered. But and I could list off a couple of really good Makoto players. Knuckle Dust from, I think, in South Carolina, although I think he moved. Makoto Mike Wakefield actually got really good recently. Been playing in Japan here and there, and he's gotten really solid. I can't remember who else off the top of my head, but those two come to mind immediately as having extremely solid Makotos in the US.
Okay, so Makoto versus Ken. Makoto neutral jumps on Ken's wake up.
Expecting an uppercut, right?
Absolutely.
So thinking, oh, Ken's just gonna EX uppercut into a super or something. Makoto jumps up and parries on the way up in order to catch the uppercut. And if the Ken woke up and did an uppercut, at least I can parry on the way down facing forward, right?
You have options.
I have plenty of options. And on the way down, if the Ken didn't do anything, expecting Makoto to try to attack, then the Ken's just going to sit there. Makoto can do an axe kick, which is safe on block and is extremely difficult to parry. If the Ken expected Makoto to perform a command grab, a karaksa, right? Then maybe he jumped instead of uppercutting.
Yeah,
right?
It is funny when you see that happen, when you see two players just neutral jump on a person's wake up.
Right? But Makoto's already in the air, so I just get to swat him out of the air with a jumping roundhouse if I want to.
He's not ready to parry that.
But say instead the Ken's like, you know what? I'm going to do the riskiest, craziest option possible. I'm going to dash forward, and I don't have to worry about any of her attacks coming down. And the only thing she could do is parry. And now Makoto's back is exposed. The Ken just dashed under my feet. I am like, oh God, what do I do? And so I'm going to do the thing that's most obvious. I'm going to parry an uppercut that he's going to throw my way, except he doesn't. He doesn't even have to worry about anything. He just waits for me to land and then attempts to do a low forward kick, which would ostensibly cause trip card if I pressed a button, right? Except I committed to a parry, but that doesn't mean I committed to an attack.
There's not an action there. That's not
there's no action, right?
Thing to cause any kind of, you can block immediately upon wake up.
Exactly. So I attempt to parry an uppercut that's about to hit my back. Nothing comes out. I immediately go back to crouch block. As soon as I hit the ground, Ken tries to hit me with a meaty, crouching medium kick, and no hit, right? And so because of that, the transaction, like nothing happens, but he's unsafe on block because it is a medium kick, right? Or crouching medium kick. So at that point, he has a couple options. He can go into EX Fireball, which is always going to be safe. He could go into if he presses nothing, he's done for. He could try going to EX Spin Kick, but if I went to a red parry, because you almost always red parry low medium kick into a potential fireball or any other move, just in case they want to throw out the fireball. Correct. And it costs you nothing. And the timing for an EX Spin Kick would be basically the same. So maybe it's better for him to do nothing and me to waste my fraction of a second to attempt to parry. Maybe it's better for him to try to parry.
It's funny that like we've gone on this chain of explaining one wake up situation, and
it all happened in 1 second.
Yeah, this entire situation that you've explained, which is like a very realistic situation. We're not talking about something that's like crazy, that like not possible for someone to think about. Not true. This is like, oh yeah, that happened, but it happened right now.
Mm-hmm. You will see people jumping on other people's wake ups all the time in Third Strike, and that is the flow chart that's going on in both players' brains.
Yeah, except against a Q player.
Oh, Q is another matter entirely different.
That matchup, man, I hate that goddamn matchup. But also, I love it because when you see like Kuroda bop a Makoto.
Oh,
His reactions though. His ability to just to like always tech a dash and throw, or like always react to it in some way. Like
every time. He's so fast.
oh, he's so fast. He's so
If
fast.
if you watch footage of him hunched over the machine in neutral, he just looks like he is like a cat that's about to pounce. Even on defense.
I saw a tweet recently. Oh, absolutely in defense, and like he's crazy. But I saw a tweet recently that was, I forget exactly who it was, but they tested everyone's reaction speeds for E-League.
Oh, right. That was been JB.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. JB. That's who it was. It had skipped my brain. But he said that they were in the top 1%, even among like baseball players. But none of them outranked any pro hockey goalie. Right.
They apparently.
I might say Crota is like within the top 1% of like hockey goalies.
He very well could be. I played some sets of.
I would posit to say that he is.
Let's just say this: I played a couple of games against him in a set, and he was using Akuma, and he uppercutted me every single time I dashed in. I didn't even have time to block. I thought after the first or second time he hit me with it, I thought I would dash in and then block, and then bait the uppercut, right? And then because maybe he's uppercutting me out of my grab. No, he uppercutted me out of my goddamn dash. And that is like a 12-frame dash.
Yeah, like think about the response time, like how hardwired your brain to hands must be in order to see that and react to it. Man, he's insane. He actually, I think I've talked about it on this podcast before as well, but there's a really good interview with him of where he talked about how he improved his reaction speeds and how he started to think about improving his reaction speeds, looking at baseball batters. Like he took baseball, for example. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with the article?
I'm not actually.
Ooh, okay. So I might try and link that in the show notes, but there's an article where he goes on to say everything in his life he turned into how fast can I react to it, which started to hone every single reaction that he could think of. Like the example that he gives is at a stoplight, where he's on his bike and thinking as soon as that light turns green, I'm going to start pedaling immediately. And just those little things which test your reactions on a daily basis. It could be anything, just any interaction at all which would require your attention, just made his overall reaction speeds to everything like that much sharper. So when he's paying attention to something like a fighting game and being so laser focused, let's say on a 12-frame dash, that's how he's able to DP something like that or react to it.
That makes sense. That's like some Zen level attention shit right there. Holy crap.
Yeah, after reading, he is... Kuroda's very good. He's very good.
He's also very weird. I have heard many stories.
Yeah, I know. He's a super like strange character. And there was that whole like situation with him not too long. He was like his mental health was like in a bad way, but he was on the comeback recently, and he's
Daigo helped out with that.
Yeah, it's fucking rad.
What I love seeing also are reactions to his play, not just him destroying people, but of
people
other
around him reacting to him.
People reacting, and then I also see these players who had never played Third Strike before, and they see him taunting, and they're like, "Wow, he's a dick," because they don't know that in Third Strike, taunts actually do something, right?
Mm-hmm. Especially for Q, you basically need to taunt.
It's a 3 taunts. It's all about the 3 taunts.
Mm-hmm.
But no one, like a lot of new players are going like, wow, these Q players, why are Q players such dicks? Why are they like, why is he taunting 3 times? Come on. The once is enough, right?
It's a bit excessive. But the major one is when you do it like 4 times.
No, 3 is a maximum for Q.
Why not? Because isn't it? Now my brain's messing with me.
Hugo has a 4x taunt.
No. I'm thinking of it. Isn't it if Q taunts 5 times, the defense buff goes away?
Oh, yeah. I forget what the limit is. I forgot the number. You're right. You're right about that. But I forgot
I
what the
don't
number
think
is.
it's actually 4. I don't think about it because it's just like 3 and that's it.
Yeah.
But that's the ultimate. That's when you actually know that you're being fucked with. It's when you see him continue to talk and you go, oh no, getting styled on. But speaking of which, in situations where this might happen, 30th anniversary just came out.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the games available to play is Third Strike. So I kind of want to talk about the entirety of the package of the Third Strike, or the 30th anniversary Street Fighter's 30th anniversary arcade collection, I think is the full title, which just came out. I'm not going to get the date right, but it was while I was on vacation, so I'm obviously not going to get the date right.
I feel like it was 2 weeks ago.
No, it was
a week and a half ago.
It was a week and a half ago.
Or so.
But regardless, came out, and those games are the games themselves. Let's say offline situation. The games themselves are very good recreations of those games.
I would even go as far as to say that they are arcade perfect to a fault.
Yes, correct. Because there are things that happen in certain games that are. I mean, like, that's the thing though, because those games were always broken, and there are still things that were just continually broken. Like, there's a ton of examples in maybe not tons, like a handful of examples, even in like Street Fighter 2, where it's like Dhalsim can just disappear.
Yeah, those are fun to do, especially outside of a competitive setting.
True.
Their Third Strike had an infamous glitch where Ken would kill Makoto with a neutral knee bash with a throw, and it would crash the game. And Digital Eclipse, the developers, actually modified the game ROM to prevent that from happening.
Ooh,
as far as I know, it's the only instance of them changing the game code to prevent a game-breaking glitch or bug. Pretty much every other glitch that I've tested still exists. There's one where Necro will float in the air against Dudley after performing a back throw suplex on him. Mm-hmm. There's one where after images still appear with 12 if he gets hit during Oro Super. There's a funny one where if Urien is standing over Remy with an Aegis Reflector, this is the easiest way to pull it off, and Remy wakes up, parries the Aegis, and then neutral throws Urien, he gets hit out of the animation of his throw, which is a bug because throw animations are supposed to be completely invincible in almost every Street Fighter game, right, until the actual hit, the damage is resolved. And then the thrower...
Hitboxes disappear once a throw is activated? Or connected,
yes. Once it connects, the hitbox disappears, and once the attack resolves, the hitboxes reappear. Mm-hmm. So the attacker can actually perform certain combos where, especially if it's a throw that launches up in the air, can allow you to juggle afterwards if you got hit during the recovery of your throw. Mm-hmm. But in this particular case, Remy gets hit out of his neutral throw against Urien, and then Urien is frozen in place and cannot press any buttons. And Remy is free to walk around, jump around, do whatever the hell he wants until he hits Urien. And he can literally force a timeout win by doing so. Or he can just sit there and build meter. He can literally build meter to max. And then if he has Super 1, just throw 2 Light of Virtue Supers or whatever it was called, and throw a million Sonic Booms and kill Urien if he really wants to. And they kept that in. They tried to be as arcade perfect as possible because the game is literally running emulators with save states.
Yes.
The one problem that I've run into consistently is that there doesn't seem to be a proper sandboxing of memory values or code or something between the emulator.
So for the layman, what do you mean?
So in Street Fighter 3 New Generation, it's easiest if I give an example. There's a glitch that will happen if Ibuki launches someone up in the air and with a roundhouse kick or hard kick, and then performs a jumping heavy punch. It has a chance of crashing the game. Except it doesn't just crash Street Fighter 3. It crashes Anniversary Collection. It blue screens your PS4. And then you get kicked to the PS4's main menu. So the crash state is not contained in a small sandbox. It just corrupts and crashes the entire Anniversary Collection game itself and just boots you out.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I actually put a video up of it on my YouTube channel because I was trying to demonstrate the glitch where Ibuki walks around and floats in midair, not knowing that it also had the potential to crash the entire game.
So there are instances which, because it is arcade perfect, cause it to just crash entirely.
Yeah,
there's no there's no safety nets for that.
Yeah, there's no safety net. It will just crash everything.
Okay. Okay,
so,
good to know. Good to know.
So all of those glitches are still in. Yeah.
All right, but at the same time, I think that's kind of rad. I think that's kind of cool.
Hey, I want to do handcuffs.
Yes, you want to do guile handcuffs. You want to do guile handcuffs, and like totally break the match, and you can do that online. Online, which is the fun part. Something that I didn't test actually, and I haven't seen anything about this. But can you choose Akuma?
In what game?
In Super Turbo.
Yes, you can choose Akuma in Super Turbo. You can even choose him in Ranked, which is a huge oversight, but there's not really any way around it.
Yeah, if it's arcade perfect, then there is no way around it. That was the one thing I was actually super worried about. And okay, I mean, there's a part of me who's like, the people who will be playing. Okay, so here's the thing that I think will happen is that the people who just want to play Super Turbo to play Super Turbo because they like Super Turbo will not do the Akuma thing because they know Akuma is hard banned because he's pretty. For people who don't know about Super Turbo Akuma, is that he's massively broken.
He's gone.
Probably one of the most broken characters in any fighting game, I posit to say.
Well, SNK has some pretty crazy ones too, but but in a Capcom game, Super Turbo Akuma is just godlike.
That's fair. I would say that. And my worry was that you would be able to select him online. So the only people who are going to choose him, like, I'm trying to think of the Venn diagram of people who would know that you can select him, because he's not in the character select screen. You have to know exactly how to.
Yes, he does require a code.
So there's that right there. He's not like easy to do, unless, I don't know, someone wrote a GameFAQs article on it a decade ago telling you how to do it. And then James Chen wrote a FAQ 2 decades ago, which will tell you how to select Akuma in the arcades. I would almost bet he did.
I think the Akuma code is actually documented in Anniversary Collection, because you can go to arcade mode and then there's like an option to view tips about the game, and they show you how to select different modes of the game, such as like how do you pick old Ryu or how do you do dramatic battle mode in Alpha 2 or whatnot, right? And I think the Akuma code is actually documented in that. But I wouldn't
be surprised, because the things that they actually so that's kind of another thing about the 30th anniversary collection, is that what they provide on like the back end of here's just like things to look at are actually kind of super interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of good trivia.
Yeah, and I'm usually not about that. I usually find like my time is a very hot commodity. It's a very valuable commodity to me. So like digging through stuff and just looking at like like box art. I'm like, okay, like I've seen box art before, but this is like the nitty gritty of things. I saw a fat Ken that I had never seen before. That got me
galleries.
Yeah, I had never seen the fat Ken, and I was like,
they got a hold of some pretty interesting old memorabilia and high res art scans and stuff. They really digged in like deep into the crypts of Capcom for this, and I actually really appreciate the work that they put into it for that.
Yeah, so those are the things that they put the hard work into.
Just not so much the UX.
There are some other things about the 30th anniversary collection that are like problematic in a few ways.
Oh boy, where do we start?
Rematch?
Or well, first, so rematches, for example.
I don't even know. Like I don't even know. Like let's start with rematches.
Okay, so you beat your opponent. You don't get to see the victory quotes of your character, which I find kind of sad, but that's a minor point. And then you go to this weird Mamie looking menu where you select rematch or not, right? And you would think, okay, rematch means let's go back, let's jump back in, same character, same super art or options or whatnot. No, it takes you back to character select screen without any warning. And so you could just sit there mashing the button to go to the next part, and then all of a sudden you go to character select and you picked Rio in accident.
Mm-hmm.
This happens all the time. So that's a UX issue. A user experience is what UX stands for. And it's just so completely disjointed from what every player has gotten used to and with the standards that have been set. You know, if I want to change my character, I would just go to a character select option, right? It shouldn't be called rematch. And why are we playing three games instead of doing a best of 3? It's always 3 games every time. So on online ranked, we end up doing 3. We get 3-0 sets, which makes no sense. You know about that, right?
Yeah. It's first 2, not best of.
Yeah. It's just you just play 3 games no matter what. And then there's the Super Turbo Akuma option. Yeah. The way they could have fixed this, honestly, is that they could have made a special ROM of the game specifically for ranked play, disabling Akuma. And it would just take like 1 address modification to do that for Super Turbo.
Sure. I don't personally know how deep you would have to dig into the code. The code's probably not that complicated for a game of that era. Am I ignorant in thinking that?
We could just figure it out in about 5 minutes. All you do is you do the Akuma code and you check to see what memory registers have changed between before and after, and just start experimenting to see which one was a timer, which one was something else, because there's an invisible timer ticking down, right? So you just make sure you take care of those options first, and eventually you'll find it. And then you just hardwire that one that flipped and make sure it stays 0. That's all it would take. But yeah, third strike will still have they fixed a couple typos in it, but then there's still a couple issues with that.
Wait, I didn't actually know about this. Explain.
So the thing about third strike in arcade version is
I'm very well aware of Capcom's penchant for typos. For a company that spelled their own name wrong on at least one occasion.
So I believe 12, though Digital Clips fixed the spelling errors for 12, and then also Player 2 Yang, I think, mistakenly has his Super Art 2 showing up as Magnetic Storm with Necro. So they fixed that typo. I kind of missed that one because that one was always pretty funny.
Yeah.
But the problem that will happen for a lot of Third Strike players that don't know about this is if you do not press a button to select your character on the screen, on the versus select screen, right? And your opponent did, then they are forced to pick they are now stuck in Super Art Select mode, right? But you haven't picked a character yet. So maybe they're waiting for you to pick your character so that they can determine what super I want to do or what super they want to use. The best example is Urian, right?
Yes.
So if the Urian player is facing Akuma, he doesn't want to use Aegis Reflector sometimes, right? He might want to use Jupiter Thunder instead, Temporal Thunder, which is a gigantic fireball which does a crap ton of stun, and Akuma has like the lowest stun bar in the game. So you could actually stun him in a single combo.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty good, right? But that means that you cannot, if you want to enable yourself to have that option, you cannot press a button to select Urian. You have to let the timer run out. Because if you press a button to select Urian and the Akuma player, your opponent goes to Akuma and lets the timer run out, the super that you were selected on automatically confirms.
See.
And so at the last second, he can decide to just go to a different character. And you're fucked. And now you're sitting there with Temporal Thunder against a character like Hugo or anybody else where Aegis Reflector would have worked just fine.
Yeah, because typically Urian wants to go with Aegis Reflector. It allows him
Right.
most of his best Oki setups and unblockable setups. It's what you go with if you play Urian.
But Akuma can teleport on Wake Up. So he don't care.
So it doesn't matter.
He can just teleports out.
Invincible
Makoto's
on frame
another
one and out of there.
Yep. Makoto's another good example where the super that you want to use can depend on the character you're playing against. Makoto versus Ken, it's actually recommended to use Seichusen, Super 1. Because Ken is so mobile and he has such oppressive pressure in the corner that you actually don't want to... The risk reward for Ken is actually not terrible if he can murder you with or without worrying about the threat of Makoto getting a 100% stun combo super. So that's just one example. But yeah,
so there's that issue on character select. So there's other issues as well with the user experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just I think I documented on Twitter somewhere, but it's a long list.
Oh, have you started a Twitter moment? Have you started an FGC Twitter moment?
I didn't do a moment. Maybe I should have. I also know that.
Can we rap a little bit about? I didn't intend for this to happen, but can we rap about how much I fucking hate that all like serious documented FGC conversations happen on Twitter now? As opposed to anywhere where it would make sense to have a documented like list of things that someone would want to search and find later on in life, other like a month from now. Motherfucker, Twitter moments, I guess, are the best solution we have.
And they're a pretty terrible solution, but it's Facebook. It's not going to work for Facebook. No one uses Facebook for that sort of thing anyways. Twitter has the biggest amount of reach and engagement. It's persistent. Its ability to curate persistent information and interactions is terrible, but it's almost kind of all we have. Sure, you can SRK forums. I mean, there's no reach for that.
Yeah, I mean, they did survive at least.
There
was that moment where we got a little worried of like, it's gotta go away, but they were like, nah, psych.
But you don't have a self-curated feed of people that you follow in any other medium.
I guess
it's just the only solution really is to put an additional layer on top of Twitter to make it more manageable for this purpose, or you do something like start a wiki and start documenting a bunch of these moments or
I agree.
A piece of information. I actually did that for Arlipedia for articles, Japanese written articles that were translated. So there's a series of...
Have you checked out Fugo Tabetai? I don't know.
I've actually...
Correct.
Fugo Tabetai. Yeah, Fugo Tabetai. I've actually documented Doc Fugo Tabetai. All right. Great guy. If you're ever in Tokyo, hit him up. He is an amazing host. But I've actually recorded links to his articles on Arlipedia. And I think he might have translated a bunch of Nemo's articles.
Yes, he did. The Nemo series where Nemo talks about like kind of just a whole bunch of shit, like a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's all over the place, but it's about how he thinks as a pro gamer.
Yeah, and all aspects of that, not just like within the game, but also like how you manage your life outside. A whole bunch of stuff. Worth a read, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, the only way I was able to satisfactorily track this, this like fire hose of information is just I had to start my own wiki. I had to document things somehow for to be durable and easily searchable.
The issue with that is that the fire hose is always on.
Yeah.
And your own personal time is limited.
True.
So, like, how much time can one man or even a group of people commit to keeping track of all this stuff? And I don't know, man. We're just gonna get crushed with information someday.
Some of it has, like, some of the solution for this would have to be automated. Like, you would have to have a script alerting you when a person such as Doc Fugu Tapatai, or Puppet Powa, or there's a couple of other translators that are out there. If one of them talks about Street Fighter of some kind, right?
If Giuna talks about Street Fighter, for example,
right, and not Dragon Ball or something else, if Giuna says anything about Daigo, okay, that should be a flag, right? That's more fair. Yeah, that's more fair. Right, there should be a flag for that. And so, like, maybe you have to have a Discord with a bot that's constantly just, crapping out, alerts for whenever, player A or, this person talks about this keyword. And then a human has to intervene and do their whole tiering test of, is this high quality information that I want to record? If not, okay, just pass it along, right? But there's just all these intermediary layers to manage this information. I'm in IT. Yeah. I'm in information technology.
Oh, really? I couldn't tell. I thought you were like a labor foreman or something from all of this conversation.
Well, I actually have a bachelor's degree in sociology, which has nothing to do with IT. I have no idea how I ended up in it in the first place, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's just like there's a very pressing need to manage this fire hose of information and record it and document it so that people don't accidentally invent the same thing twice or three times or four times in a row.
Which happens.
I can't tell you.
Which happens.
God, I have reinvented an Okizeme setup with Vega in Street Fighter 5 like 3 times.
Yourself.
Without
this
doing
is your own problem.
This is me, right? I made it the first time, like back in season 1. And then someone in my Twitch stream will be like, yo, you did this like 2 years ago. I've been using it ever since. How did you forget your own setup? I'm like, oh, God.
It's pretty easy to forget things. Honestly, it is very seriously easy to forget things. This is kind of an aside, but especially with like Street Fighter 5, where I feel like information is like at the precipice of the human brain to understand the options at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty close. It's not quite there because there's still that element of that our brains can't process. We're pretty I feel like it's pretty close that you could be able to like break the code. You could see the matrix, for example. Not the case because there's a human element, obviously. But like I feel like sometimes it's like it's right there and there's just so much to know.
Like the game is close to having perfect strategy in a way.
It is, but until you introduce that human element of like, oh no, he woke up with a sweep.
Sure. Like you kind of try to, like at that point it becomes, how do I overload my opponent's mental stack?
Yes. There's a very good article on mental stack in fighting games. Not going to find it and link it in this one, but maybe you should Google it yourself if you're interested. Okay, so anyway, so we were talking about 30th Anniversary Collection. Is there any other user experience elements that you have noticed that are just grinding your gears right now?
Honestly, I can't think of
outside
anything
of the netcode being bad, which is kind of a user experience thing.
Well, there is the issue of not being able to use diagonals.
I just fixed this. I in the time between me setting this up of getting Arlieth on this show and trying to talk about 30th anniversary collection, I was like, okay, I at least got to like really dig into it as much as I can. And in that time, I was like, okay, why can't I jump diagonally?
Why can't I fireball?
Why can't I do that? That seems weird. But actually, if you're using Hori Rat 4, in particular, what you have to do, not all the buttons work right out of the box, by the way. There's probably something else that I got to do to make the start button work, but that's a whole other conversation.
Right. Because otherwise you won't be... Oh, actually, that's a really important one. Because
yeah.
If you want to play arcade mode and you want to get past the title screen, you hit start. But start just opens up what you would think is start, the options button, just opens up the emulator menu. Right?
So what you have to do, folks, to jump diagonally is go to these switches in the back, and it has to go from directional to left stick. Very important. Very important. If you don't make that little switch, you can't see it in the video portion. There's a video portion of this, by the way, but there's no way you could be able to see. I might zoom in. I'm not going to zoom in. But there's a little switch that you have to go from one to the other, and then... also you have to go through the controls and make it fucking work. You gotta do that, and only then can you jump diagonally. But also you cannot start, so you gotta find another solution for that. Fuck if I know. I just close the game, and then just restart it.
Okay, I pulled up my list.
Do it faster.
Okay, I pulled up my list of UX gripes, and while we're on the topic of controls, the fact that this game is on the Switch, right? And there is no option to map triple punch or triple kick.
Not at all. There's none.
Oh my god. I know it's supposed to be an arcade perfect experience, but bitch, please, you ain't gonna be playing. The average player is not gonna have access to a joystick with 6 buttons that they can play on the Switch on the go.
There's utility for 6 buttons as well. Like, let's kind of think about like option selects here as well, of why that would be important to have when faced with the limited buttons, to have a 3 punch or 3 kick.
Well, try this. Go to play Alpha 3. You boot up Alpha 3. Okay. Alpha 3 does not have provisions for car canceling, I believe. And so for Zangief. Or I should also say, in Alpha 3, to throw, you press 2 punches. This is important. So what you want to do is, with Zangief, try to do a triple punch on a Switch controller, on the Joy-Con, or whatever it is, right? One of your buttons is a shoulder, almost mandatorily. So trying to press shoulder button with the 2 top buttons, frame perfect, and get a lariat instead of a throw is difficult for me, and I am a veteran fighting game player. Just try doing it 10 times in a row perfectly without getting a throw. Oh, you know what? Actually, just try throwing. Just try pressing 2 punches to throw, and see if you can get a throw every single time in Alpha 3.
The Joy-Con's not very good for any of that.
No, it really isn't. And it's a terrible experience on Switch because of it. For many reasons, not just the fact that almost everyone is on Wi-Fi, but yeah, no triple punch, no triple kick, or other configurable macros for pad players. Terrible experience for that.
Yup.
And
so there's that issue. But also, I guess we could argue that you can connect a fight stick to a Switch.
True.
That is an option.
It is an option if it's docked. If it's not docked, you have to get some adapters to try to pull that off.
But only one.
Well,
can you connect 2?
I think you can connect 2 with a hub.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you need some kind of adapter to connect to. I guess that's true. I'm
and
like looking at my Switch right now and thinking, there's only one thing to plug it through. And I could, but I suppose they could do a dongle like in old PS2 days to get 4 players into games. That's man.
Have you played any lobbies in 30th anniversary?
I was trying to set one up. It seemed pretty easy to set one up. I couldn't. No. I didn't have the time to really dig into it enough. But it did seem this is actually a good thing that we could send. Here's kind of like a history of our Street Fighter. We used to have this thing where we would run tournaments from an IRC. And in the IRC, all you had to do was like a couple of little quick commands to set up basically you type your name in and it would reply to, the bot would reply with a link that your opponent could just click on and enter your game. It seems that is capable within this game. So with that, I'm happy. We can actually just copy the same code from the old bot, put it in the new Discord, and then we're all good.
Okay.
Steam friend or join game links seem to work, which is good news. But you were saying
the problem I'm having is that it's really easy to make a lobby, but it doesn't seem so easy to make a lobby that restricts certain games.
Ooh,
so if you just want a Third Strike lobby, if you really hate Hyper Fight, if you're sick to death of people playing Hyper Fighting Super Turbo and you want to play Alpha 3 or you want to play Third Strike, tell me when you go into the lobby list, how many of them are all 4 games enabled? Because it is not obvious at all to figure out how to make a lobby that only has a limited selection of games.
Yeah, that's kind of a big issue. That's kind of a big deal. You would think it would be separate, or at least there would be an option to filter.
Right.
That seems important when they're 4 different, not entirely different games. Because Hyper Fighting Super Turbo.
I would love to have an option where I, as a player, would say I only want to play these games, and I could pop into a lobby that has all 4 games enabled, right? And if the 2 of us don't have a compatible game, then okay, well, I guess it's going to be roulette. But otherwise, if you have a favorite game and if I have 2 favorite games and you have 2 favorite games, and Alpha 3 is the only one that matches both, let's play Alpha 3, right? But we can't do that. This use case, this very obvious and common use case, has apparently never occurred to the people who made this collection.
I don't know, man. So I might just have like an old man gripe here. Like, after years of experience and years of user feedback, decades, people might say, of online experiences where people have provided feedback over at least a decade, if not more, you would think that there would be standards. Just something like a best practices. I can't. It is beyond me that there isn't just some and it's actually not. I'm not even just applying this to 30th anniversary collection. This applies to kind of all modern
all games. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Fuck it. All games. There are some that get it pretty okay for their genre, and those have been pretty great. But not true of all games, absolutely. But fucking fighting games.
What's an example?
Oh man,
because I have 2 off the top of my head.
Dragon Ball Online's not great. For what it's worth, Grant, I'm not trying to trash Dragon Ball. That's the obvious I'm from our Street Fighter and I have to trash Dragon Ball because that's the most popular game right now. No, it's just the online is also not very good. Street Fighter V Online, also not good. Also, like, Street Fighter 4 Online was better in some senses than Street Fighter V Online.
Sadly, yeah, there were some elements that were better.
So, in some ways. But then, like, I like to look at it through rose tints where it's like, yeah, but when you had a lobby and wanted to do you can't just run one set and then back the line. I've sat through hours of tournaments, online tournaments in Street Fighter 4 of like, okay, back of the line, I guess. We got to wait for that guy to ready up so they can send me and my co-commentator down to the back of the line because this is a nightmare life that I've chosen. Oh, well, forget about those terrible things. Yeah, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
How about, all right. Well, the funny...
Okay.
You know what the funny one to me was? The biggest step backwards was back in season 1 and 2. The fact that we had to do a thumbs up between matches.
Jesus Christ. This is like IRL
right?
stuff. This is not online experience. This is...
That's just, yeah, that was like the biggest like WTF moment I ever had. But online, 30th anniversary collection on ranked has no matchmaking provisions or options. You cannot force the game to say only pair me up with people in this general continent. I have to play against people in Brazil sometimes. I will have laggy matches and I do not get to see what the connection quality is, even though the code for connection quality exists in lobbies. Between matches, I get booted back 2 or 3 menus, and then I have to navigate extra menus to get to my next match. Even Street Fighter V will just put you back into the mode you were before, and then you just wait for another match automatically without even thinking about it. Like, why is the step backwards going on? And the king of accumulated UX gripes and best practices, the man who got it right, bless his soul, is Mike Z.
He'll let you know about it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, he will. He will not be nice.
No. That's like one, Mike Z, man. Fucking love him. Also, fucking Mike Z, man.
Yeah, it's inevitable. You're like, God damn it, Mike.
I actually saw a really funny tweet from him. I don't know if you saw this. The one about BlazBlue cross tag battle with the Evo sticker.
Oh, with the stickers. Oh God,
that actually did get me thinking of like, man, all the things that we have complained about over the years, and like this is where we are right now. Like,
who's esports now?
Remember when the DLC was on the disc? Do you remember that when the DLC was on the disc? And that was a game killer.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I remember those days. Oh God, you have to. Okay, that turned off.
No, that's okay. My dog barked into the microphone a minute ago. I held his cute little face up to the mic, and he let out a big yelp because he thought I was getting up and it was time to play. It's not time to play, Brick. It's not. Okay. I got his attention. All right. Anyway, so they're just. You would fucking think that there would just be some kind of standards. Our Street Fighter has given Capcom a goddamn list of things that they should probably do concerning netcode.
Oh God. Hey, I'll give it this. 30th anniversary got the netcode right. I can play against people across the country and have a actually pretty decent game.
That's interesting that you say that. I feel like there's the general sentiment that I saw. Granted, this hasn't been my personal experience, but the general sentiment that I saw was that it was either fully broken or okay.
It might depend on the game.
Okay.
But for Third Strike, I have generally had good experiences.
Better or worse than Third Strike?
Far better than
Online Edition, or what was it?
Online Edition had pretty good code too, actually.
Yeah, that was pretty good. The rollback was pretty good on Online Edition. Shoutouts to
Gorgeous, Iron Galaxy.
Iron Galaxy, yeah. Iron Galaxy, that's the one. Don't know why I was blanking on that.
The issue I had with, their online edition was not a perfect port and had severe problems with damage scaling after command grabs, which made Yoon absolutely freaking broken. But aside from that, yeah, it was not a terrible port. There were timing issues also. The 30th anniversary timing feels pretty good. Netcode feels pretty good. They actually implement proper rollback and clock syncing, I think. That's the problem that and also the lag
it's a big issue with Street Fighter V.
The lag is symmetrical because Street Fighter V has asymmetrical lag where one person has a great experience and the other person has a shitty one.
Yeah, that's been a thing since launch.
Yeah, I believe Tom Cannon. I can't tell the two apart. Either Tom or Tony Cannon. They had
that thing at Evo.
At Evo about balancing the rifts.
Yes, it was.
It's a
Tom.
great. Okay, was it Tom? Pro Tom? Okay.
It was Pro Tom Cannon.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
That is an amazing talk. If you guys are ever bitching about the netcode of Street Fighter V and wondering why is it so terrible, Pro Tom just breaks it down to the nuts and bolts in a very accessible and easy to understand manner.
Yes.
You will feel like a network engineer after this.
Indeed, I feel that way, even though I'm a civil engineer. Different thing. But no. Okay, that's good to know though. That it does have good online. We're talking about like netcode lag experiences are.
Yeah. I'm generally happy with it,
or at least can be pretty good, especially considering that like the timing. It might be weird in like different games. I feel like on like Super Turbo it might be different because of
Super Turbo has an issue with
red in general.
Super Turbo also has an issue that the game runs too fast because ranked mode automatically sets it to Turbo 2. I think. I think or something along those lines. It had to do with the turbo setting.
Like Turbo 2 US or Japan.
That's what I can't remember.
I'm like thinking about a tweet I saw like a month ago of either James Chen or Alex Valle saying like Turbo 2 is no, it's the correct. I feel like the result of that one was that it was the correct. It was set to the correct one, whatever it is.
Okay.
I think. But don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. Might be worth looking into. I'd have to talk to someone who knows about the nuts and bolts of ST.
I do remember that it was an issue.
Yeah.
And I hope Digital Clips does not fuck it up when they release it in Japan with the Japanese ROM. That's why it got delayed.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
That makes sense though. That's cool.
Because
that's cool. Capcom, that's super cool.
Well, I'm glad they're doing it. It's just that at first, Capcom thought, "Oh, we'll just release it and it'll just use the American ROMs and we'll just set it to Japanese language. It should be fine, right?"
I'll select Balrog. That'll be good for sure.
Yeah. Except that they didn't really think about the other material issues such as timing speed differences in Super Turbo, for example.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean,
one. Let me think about this. I think one was faster. You know what? I'm not even going to try and say it because it will I will be wrong about this.
Yeah.
I will be wrong. By the way, Arlie, you are allowed to drink on this podcast. I didn't say it at the start of the show. I didn't warn you about it. But this is a curse-friendly and drink-friendly podcast. So I will definitely say those numbers wrong and get the math all terribly askew. But anyway, okay, I think that basically covers our thoughts on 30th. Unless there is anything else you would like to touch upon. So I think it's, you know what, at the end of the day, I know we've been like old men griping about this thing, old men fighting gamers, that there are these things
it's ironic. I would actually say it's ironic that we're old and we're complaining about it because it's really the new players that are that have the majority of gripes about 30th. Because for us, we go, oh hey, we get arcade perfect nostalgia, right?
You can play Alpha 2 offline. wherever now, and like it works.
But think about this. If your first exposure to Alpha 3 was the PS Vita version,
Ooh.
or something else where you had Guile, right? Because Alpha 3 doesn't exist in Guile on the arcade. Or, you had any other number of characters that you could pick. I think there was even a playable version of Eagle and Maki that were lifted from CVS2 sprites.
Yes.
If you had World Tour mode, where you have basically had your own RPG and buildable character in Alpha 3. That doesn't exist in this 30th Anniversary Collection. Not to mention, the fact that you can't remap buttons and all sorts of other issues. For the new player, not for the old guys, for the new player, it can be a very shitty experience. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
But also, you get to play all the old games. Basically arcade perfect. And there's a part of that to me who's like, this is good. Objectively, overall, I might hate certain things about it, but objectively, this is good.
Yeah, I would give it
that I think they could fix in patches. I'm not a code doctor. I don't know. I can't operate on this code.
Every problem that everyone has right now can be fixed in a patch.
Okay, well then there you go.
The underlying engineering and netcode and stuff, that's actually fine.
The bones are good. It's not a terminal illness.
Correct. This patient can be saved.
They just came in with a broken femur, and they're going to be in bed for a while. It'll take them a while to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
That leg will be up there.
But eventually, we can actually have a very good experience. It won't be as good with all the extra bells and whistles that people expect out of a console release. But it's not going to be Street Fighter Alpha 3 Gold, Plus Edition, right? You're never going to get that. But for an arcade experience, and having all the UX issues taken care of, which should be fairly easily patchable. Hell, even the Akuma thing can be easily patched, like the way I mentioned before for Super Turbo. I think it is just barely above water. It is not drowning.
Well, there you go. A glowing review from Arlieth. Just barely above water. Put that on the back of the box. It's good enough for me. Good enough
featured at EVO 2018. Just barely above water.
Fuck. So that's that sticker on the box.
I changed my Twitter handle to Arlieth at @CapComplainer.
That's pretty good. I dig that pun.
I'll just use that as a tag. Just barely above water, the Cap Complainer.
So I could keep you here for a little bit longer. Do you have the time? This is like personal gesture that I'm offering to you because I could cut it right now and we could be good. We could be on our way.
I have a little bit more time.
How you feel about Cody? Because for the listener, this podcast was recorded on what day is it today? It is June 7th. Today, the date is June 7th. And Cody Travers, it's Travers, right? I heard I've always had that in my head, but I heard someone question it today, and I was like, no, this is Travers. Shut up, it's Travers.
It is Travers. I think it was established in Streetwise or whatever the weird gritty nitty game. You know the one I'm talking about.
So Cody Travers was just announced at Combo Breaker. I mean, we knew he was coming out, but we got the whole great video that, by the way, that live footage.
The Kenny Omega? That was pretty hype.
Mwah, so good. So good. I've been getting... Oh, man, I saw people say that, for Sagat, we got to get L.I. Joe. And...
I don't know about that, but...
I'm not a betting man. I might put money on that.
Okay.
I might put money on that.
Joe would look pretty good with an eye patch.
He fits the part, right? He fits the part. I don't know how actually buff he is underneath that shirt. I never seen the man shirtless.
He's
But,
gonna
like,
be eating boiled chicken for the next 6 months. But
I can't imagine he ain't cut. He looks like a guy who might be.
he could. He's not a tiny skinny man.
Put that scar across his chest. Put
Use
that
some
eye
creative-
patch on that man, and
Get
let's see that sagat.
We need some like porn star camera angles to make himself look bigger. You know the kind I'm talking about from the lower point of view, the upwards perspective.
Just reeling back in my chair right now. I can't engage with that. I can't engage.
But you know what?
Because
Right.
Long Island Joe is too wholesome. He's too wholesome. And by that, I mean, there were some sister things that were weird, but we're not going to get into that on this podcast, okay? We're not going to get into that. He's a good man. His dad is a very good man as well.
Weren't we joking that he was sponsored by Brazzers at one point? I just think to remember we made some jokes about this.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Man, you guys remember when like the FGC was being sponsored by Pornhub and
Oh god, Valmaster, why
Dude,
YouPorn?
yeah.
It was YouPorn,
YouPorn, it was
Valmaster,
YP.
and
No, it wasn't YouPorn, it was
Filipino
Team
Man.
YP. Different
Oh,
entity.
that's right. Yellow
Different
Pages.
entity.
Yellow Pages. That's right. Team Yellow Pages. Wholesome Yellow Pages Filipino Man and Yellow Pages Valmaster. And Yellow Pages
Christ.
Katie.
Why can't we get back to that time? Why can't we
You-
just go
you know-
back to...
There is a man who wants to take us back to those days of glory.
Can I get like X Video Cien? Can I get that?
I don't know if I should say this, but
To be clear, I do not edit this podcast, so this is on you. I am giving you full disclosure. I do not, and
I
probably
understand.
will not edit this podcast.
Okay, I'll just say this.
Okay.
Gutex will be our savior.
Praise be. Praise be.
Praise be. Praise be. He is a man of the people. He is a man of the people.
He's
People call him a sellout. People call him esports. People call him a greedy, money grubbing.
By the way, segue. There's actually a really good interview of him recently with the philosopher. He like tracked him down at Combo Breaker, and he actually talks about like specifically being a sellout and like what that means, or what like definitions don't actually mean, and how like money in general is just like pretty good for the series, and also like who gives a fuck, which I think was like, yeah, that's a Gutex line right there. It's like that. Yeah, that's in line with who you are, and also who gives a fuck.
Yeah,
like, right
I'll
with
just
you, man.
Yeah, I'll just put it this way: Gutex has been accused of being a sellout for a very long time, but he is truly a man of the people, and you will see the light. The
light.
I'll just leave it at that.
You will see the light and the way.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. I can't give any hints, but
this is extremely erotic. This conversation has turned.
Hey, it's your fault for suggesting that L.I. Joe should be Sagat.
How did we get here? Okay, so anyway, man,
Cody. Oh yeah.
Okay, so Cody is I mean, good looking guy. He has cleaned up. He's been out of jail for quite some time now, and he is back on the streets serving up justice. Let me get your first blush opinions on Cody. It's a very long sigh. It's a very long, exasperated sigh.
The animation team at Capcom clearly is split into old grizzled veterans who practice martial arts and go down to dojos and wrestling rings and study the crap out of their models and figures. And then you have interns. And I swear to God, Cody had to have been rigged by an intern.
So to that, I say there are some animations I'm not going to go full blush hyperbole on like Cody animations are bad. I can see how someone can say that, and it's a fine opinion to have, but I can see very clearly there are some animations where like that Stan Lee kick, man.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, really.
Or like most attacks with the pipe look not correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like they're all in the wrist. He's got crazy wrist strength.
No core. There's no core with these animations.
Team YP Cody wrist strength. So, but on the other end of that, you have these extremely intricate flourishes of empty frames. So like my brain goes in two different directions, right? It's like,
okay, I can see that. That's fair.
Very clearly a lot of detail put into many of those animations. The dude throws and recatches a knife, and from what I know about animations, that's not like easy to do.
That's true.
Like in a flourish, in an animation that like for the most part will not be seen.
Mm-hmm.
To which that argument is like, if the animation will not be seen, why put the money in the back end when the front end is like, oh, hey, what's good? It's like a reverse. It's a reverse mullet. The party is in like the front, and it's a bad party. Like I got invited to some bad parties, and that's what's up front. Those are the startup and active frames. It's like, ugh, you got to turn that mullet around, man, and put the business up front. Like, and then whatever happens after that is whatever happens. Like,
you know what it is? No. Here's what it is. It's a shitty movie, and even shitty previews, but the end credits are amazing.
Okay, there's a really good end credits scene. You saw Thanos at the end, so that's good.
Yeah, pretty much. If you stuck around, right?
If you stuck around. So man, I don't know, like, because there are some. So here's the other issue that I'll just have to bring up because someone will write in about this, and I get it, and it's fine. But like the Twitch stream, I don't know if this is true, but this happened the last time with Falk, where it was like, okay, that's like the 30 frames per second stream, so you're not getting everything. It's not as fluid. But at the same time, that leg just is fucking out there. The leg is just...
Even 30 frames per second is not... That's such a weak excuse. You can... Even in 30 frames a second, you can clearly tell where energy transfer comes from the feet and the hips, like the twisting of the torso, like where the core energy transfers from like your shoulder to your wrist to your fist, right?
Yes.
I could watch Falk's critical art in 10 frames a second or in 200, and it's going to look just as shitty. Okay?
But the sound, Arlieth, get the sound there as well. You didn't hear the sound of the pipe hitting. That matters, right?
You're not going to hear this. You're not going to hear the pipe at a tournament.
You're not even going to have headphones at the tournament. What the fuck are you talking about? Not even at Evo, you're not going to have headphones that work. So, like,
oh god, yeah, the unpowered splitters that would crackle in and out.
No, they were powered. So the issue was that they were only three. They were 2-channel, but all the headphones were 3-channel.
Oh, that's what the root cause was.
That's what the cause was, because they had the mics, because they were brought to you by
right.
But they were only stereo outputs. But you had that mic input that was like, hey, we're getting information on all kinds of weird channels. So like, Lariat comes through the microphone the opposite way. They're trying to push things out the end holes, and that's not.
Ooh.
It's an audio nightmare. Whenever that happens,
that kind of movie requires extra preparation.
So back to, aside from the animations, because that's the thing that people have been... That's what you'll see on Twitter. That's what will get the most likes and retweets, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a clickbait.
That's a clickbait thing. We've talked about that. We've covered that. That's fine. There are some good parts about the animations that they put the business in the back end. But Cody in general, what are the substance of his mix-ups, because I personally feel, and this is my take, that it's not really Cody. I didn't get a very Cody feel from Cody.
I would have to agree, but it's also kind of early to tell. And the character may not even be finished yet.
I suppose that's true. There was some frame data changes in between the time we saw like Blanca to his release, so that could be true. But for example, though, like the 3-frame crouching light kick, or any 3-frame button at all, he's a 4-framer, so like already down a peg.
Yeah,
as it is in Street Fighter V. EX reversal. He needs the VX meter for the invincibility. He needs V trigger to do real damage.
Okay.
And like real mix-ups.
Yeah.
Anti-airs for cross-ups, not good.
Yeah, it can be a problem.
That could be a problem in Street Fighter V. Bad spray looks not a thing you should ever do for any reason whatsoever. Which it never really was to begin with. Really has never been useful.
Yeah.
Is there any like video evidence of Momochi using bad spray effectively?
I can't remember.
Nothing is coming to mind. Regardless, super not useful in Street Fighter V, where like wake up buttons is like just a fucking gamble.
We'll see. We'll see how EX Zonk, turns out, I guess.
I suppose the thing that gets me is that I think was always going to happen with Cody is that, to me, he is a frame advantage character.
Mm-hmm.
And
like Bison?
Important to that is that he has ways of staying in to continue frame advantage with just normals, to make you scared with just normals.
Okay. So similar to Bison then.
Ooh, yeah, he actually isn't dissimilar to Bison. I hadn't like made that connection in my head at all in any way, but I might see that a little bit. His dash
kind of makes sense.
His dashes are terrible,
so
that's not good. EX projectile looks like a good pressure tool.
Yeah,
I'll say that much. His projectiles look pretty good, actually. Like
did they test whether some of the projectiles were actual projectiles or physical objects?
They were actual projectiles.
Okay.
Because he could, specifically because his pipe can reflect projectiles, and they were reflecting the tornado back and forth.
Okay, that's good.
Projectile. Not like, for those who might not be following this conversation, like Ibuki's kunai, not actual projectile.
EX, especially the EX kunai, is a physical object that goes through fireballs and strangely destroys other non-projectile entities such as Rashid's tornado. Yeah, it gets weird. And
also like Rashid's V-Trigger 1, not really a projectile.
It used to be.
And my dumb brain continues to think that it is with Zangief. But that changes that matchup for sure.
I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen a Rashid jump behind his tornado, and my dumb ass tries to do a full screen super to clip him out of the air.
But Vega's super is not invincible
at all. It's projectile invincible from frame 1, and that's it.
Okay, sure. I'll take that. That is an accurate statement, but also Vega's critical art's not invincible.
It's the only one in the game that's not actually invincible.
Why can't it be more like Fong's critical art? I actually think Fong's critical art is super good.
You know what?
As I wake up critical art, I think it's really good.
Yeah, actually. Characters do not have very easy punishes for it either. And it does a decent amount of damage, and it leaves you fairly close to them, and it gives you some really good
mix-ups. The flash happens after the first active frame.
Yeah.
So it's
I like that a lot.
That's pretty good. It's a good feature to have.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't
why can't we
like that?
Well, yeah.
Why can't Vega have like normals that matter?
Yep. There's one other thing I would like for Capcom to do eventually is if they ever want to implement a counter super again in their lifetime, please make the activation flash after the startup.
Yes.
You remember Kami CQC?
No, because no one ever used it, because why the fuck would you use it?
Because it's ass. Because, oh, look at me, I'm in counter state. Yeah.
With the arms to this.
The same thing with Remy in Third Strike. Remy's Blue Nocturne. You know, he flashes and then he just sits there voguing. Like, you know, he's just posing there. And then no one's ever going to hit him because the Super Flash has actually eaten up your opponent's input. So it's like, oh, okay, I was actually really going to press a button and hit you, but your Super Flash just saved my ass. So thank you. Now eat a super.
Wake up. Yeah. Now eat this full combo. But anyway, so as of right now, not a whole lot of Cody info out there.
Yeah.
It's really just what was shared with the WSO stream, which happened. So find those videos on their official YouTube channel. If you missed the Twitch stream, I don't know. Like, he had some interesting things, but he had some good, what I would say, positive frame advantage pressure. There are ways where he can just stay positive at the expense of meter. But he has the issue that everyone has in Street Fighter V of once you are outside of that certain range of like not being point blank, then it kind of doesn't matter.
Yep. So yeah, we'll see. The other good thing to come out of the WSO stream is that, especially if they went into training mode with the data shown, that it makes it substantially easier for the frame assistant tool team to extrapolate frame data. So that's a huge relief.
Speaking of which, I guess we could no, we're not going to wrap up yet. We'll talk about that at the very end because you've also done work with Fat. And how long you been like helping with that? Were you around like in the ESF4 days?
No, I was around, I'd say maybe a couple months into Street Fighter V when I got really sick and tired of the lack of data for Vega and hit up Dark Onion and was like, hi, this shit's wrong. And he's like, oh, well, you want to help? And I'm like, yeah, sure, give me access. And so lo and behold, there is this monstrosity of a Google Doc spreadsheet that all the data was being used to track. But makes for an amazingly decent collaboration tool, I must say. And that is how Baby was formed.
That, children, is where babies are made. So, all right. So let's kind of any closing thoughts on Cody. We should kind of wrap up here.
I should just say we should wait and see.
That's how I felt about every single character, every single time that they've been shown. And that we're going to go through the same arc with Cody that we're going to go through with every single character is that immediately right out of the gate, this character is dumb, obviously. Like, look at this dumb shit. And then someone's going to put a little bit of work into it, and then you go, okay, I can see how that works.
Well, how long did it take for Abigail and Minot for people to realize that they were actually really good characters?
And it took until like...
Well, actually, Minot
until like last couple months, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we kind of knew how she was, like, very good, but I would say, we saw the potential there. She had some, like, really good stuff, but at the same time, like, hadn't really seen it in practice under fire. But I actually think, like, Justin Wong, I think, kind of opened up, I guess, another, like, page of the Minot book. In certain ways, because we've already seen like what infiltration can do, like all that
and
stuff.
And
Sako, obviously, like the combos and stuff, and the being able to change from offensive to defensive, very good. But at the same time, like Justin Wong didn't use any specials at all.
Yeah, just normals, just basics.
And guess what? Turns out that can be strong in this video game. But regardless. Yeah,
So,
anyway, speaking,
we gotta see.
We'll see.
Okay, yeah.
We'll see. It's like same thing with like, I don't know. People will tech it and lab it and figure stuff out, and maybe halfway through season 4, Cody will be good. I mean, he doesn't have a 3-framer, so like, no, he actually won't be. But like,
I would say give it 3 months.
Yeah, give it 3 months, folks. Give people time to kind of sit on it, let it stew, let Momochi do his work, and he'll come back to us, and it'll all be good. All right, so we're coming to the close of the show. Everything that I like, every time I have a guest on the show, I like to ask them this specific question. It's actually a set of questions, so this is extended to you. What is your favorite normal attack in any fighting game? Could be any normal attack in any fighting game. Not even doesn't even have to be Street Fighter related.
Melty Blood, Nero's jumping heavy, jump C.
Why exactly that normal?
Imagine a 7-foot tall man in a trench coat, looking like, I don't know, Tyrant from Resident Evil, right? Stars, and jumping up in the air after he launched your ass and reaching across the screen with an arm bigger than the last 10 minutes of Akira.
That's good. That's a good.
It's like roar,
Yeah. That's
and
a good mental picture. I like the
hits multiple times, slams you off of the wall, okay, and allows you to jump up again, and get it several more times. There are combos where I literally use jump C like 3 or 4 times in a row, and then cancel it into an air throw. That move is just it's just a monstrosity.
It's monstrous. The end of Akira.
The last 10 minutes of Akira.
Yeah, that was. I like that mental picture that you had painted. It was very good, very accurate, in fact.
Yeah. Also, in Japan, the move that exact move is nicknamed Biohazard, because Biohazard is the name of the Resident Evil series in Japan.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me. So actually, because for the most part, the only people who listen to this show typically just play Street Fighter. Not true of all the listeners, obviously. But for those who might not have reached out into the air dashers that you're speaking of, why might someone play Melty Blood? Is it worth going after at this point?
Melty Blood is like the weird anime love child of Blade Blue with Third Strike. You've got parries. It's dedicated to a single button. If you want to go ham on parries, you can. It's got 3 different modes like Alpha 3, where the characters are almost completely different. So you have like over 100 different playable characters if you really want to, or something insane. So the game actually has a ton of depth. And you have an unusual amount of agency at any given time, because you've got bursts. You can double jump, or you can jump, or you can double jump, or you can air dash, or you can air dash and double jump. You have a crazy amount of freedom within the game to move around and maneuver, and the characters are pretty cool. A lot of schoolgirls. There's just tons of schoolgirls everywhere. But
yeah, forewarning, NC-17 for anyone.
No, the game itself is actually like PG rated.
I know. Don't Google.
Okay, but the source material. Do not Google the source material.
Yeah, safe search on, folks. Like, you don't want to be put on a fucking list, okay?
The source oh god, yeah, the source material may or may not be Team YP friendly.
Christ.
But it is actually a really fun game.
Our bright future. No, that's cool. That's cool. I always like to recommend different games. Like, I'm a big fan of Uniest, and I feel like more people should play Uniest.
Yeah.
It's a very good game.
The same team, actually. Uniest is the same team as Melty Blood. Yeah.
So anyway, that's the first question. The second question, what is your favorite combo in any fighting game?
It's a combo that I cannot pull this combo off. maybe if Second Impact had a real training mode, I could eventually do it. But it's a combo with Ibuki against Hugo using, I think it's Hashin Sho, the Super R3 in Second Impact. Basically, you could combo it off of like anything into a ground rush that ends with a launch.
Huh.
But oh no, I'm sorry. The combo I'm thinking of is actually with Super One with what's it called? With Kasumi Suzaku. But actually, there are combos with both. Anyways, when in Second Impact against Hugo, when Ibuki does her EX Kazakiri, the uppercut kick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then begins her descent, she can air chain, jab fierce, land, and you have to time the jab fierce frame perfect. It cannot be too early, it cannot be too late. And you can land, walk up, like you micro walk, get a standing medium kick, and then go into another EX Kazakiri. And then come back down again, like 1-2. And then, given you can do this multiple times, up until the point where you're starting to run out of meter. And if you have Hashin Sho, you can just go into cancel into the ground combo into Hashin Sho, cause a launch. By this time, Hugo's probably stunned, and then you get to bop him like 6 or 7 times in the corner.
Yeah, because how stun works in that game, if you are in the air with juggle points, that shit goes.
Yeah. Like your normal attacks do not end the combo anymore. You could just walk up, do standing or toward roundhouse kick, that hopping bell kick. You can do that like 6 times if you want to, and just get juggled straight up.
I didn't know about that combo. That sounds delicate.
I can find you a link for the combo. The team that discovered this combo is a group of people called Skillsmith.
I love that this combo has lore that includes a team of people.
So Skillsmith was a club of Japanese fanatics who would pool their resources together and just buy all the game, like all the fighting games, like, and have the actual arcade hardware. Okay. And in the combo videos, you will see that they set the rounds to like 9, and it's like, right. You know, and they've very meticulously mapped out how many hits it takes to build up stun meter to this point, or what. You'll see multiple perfects on the board because they just do nothing but on their original arcade hardware lab combos and try to break the fucking game. They even have semi-infinite stun combos on Gil, the boss, which is not selectable. They played single player mode all the way to the last boss, got him, were so good that they didn't suffer any damage and got him almost stunned, and recorded a full on 99 hit stun combo on Gil.
So anyone who doesn't know what that entails, 30th anniversary collection is out now.
Oh god.
Try and face Gil and just see what that's like. Lube up, by the way. Because that can turn into a nightmare scenario pretty quickly. Apparently not the case for these guys. For this team of players. What was the name? What was the name of the team?
Oh, Skillsmith. One word.
Skillsmith. That's fantastic. I would like to dig deep into that lore. That sounds so good. Oh, yeah, man, that's enticing.
You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it.
That's very enticing. All right. That will just about do it. I've kept you well over the time that I've allotted. So thank you for sticking it out for this amount of time. Sorry if you didn't sit down with a drink, or didn't cut a hole in the bottom of your chair to pee or poop like I have in that amount of time. But thank you for joining us. And where can people find you on the internet?
You can just stick my name anywhere, almost anywhere. That is legally allowed. So Twitter. Can I
stick it into YouPorn? Will anything come up? Have you submitted?
I've never tried that. I've never actually tried that. I really should.
Just put it
But-
in the Pornhub and be like, "Oh yeah, that's weird. There's a combo video here. That's strange. I wonder why that. Why is
long-haired Asian man takes advantage of.
yeah? Also, yeah, it's also tagged long hair Asian man.
Oh God. But yeah,
Perfect
Twitter,
finish.
double P,
yeah.
P all over.
It's just
Peas all long hair Asian man. Peas all over. Poor nerd. God, with his stick. So yeah, so I'm on Discord. I and Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. On my Twitter, I have a pinned message, and it pretty much has the easiest ways of getting a hold of me. I run arlipedia.com, where I just plop a bunch of random information and fighting game resources. And Twitter is probably really the easiest way to get a hold of me. So yeah.
all right. Well,
Oh yeah, on Twitch. Also, I should
Yes.
mention I do stream on Twitch.
and you have a YouTube channel which you've been making. You've been pretty prolific the last couple weeks.
Not as much as I wish, as I should be, but yes, I will be putting
Fuck
some.
you with your free time to make videos and do actual shit. You son of a bitch. You motherfucker. With all your I don't really have all that free time to just make like a half a baker's dozen of videos in the last 2 weeks.
Hey, I haven't even. I've barely streamed this past 2 months.
Fair. That's fair. I'm just giving you shit for it. I'm just giving you shit. But people should check out your videos and your video series that you have going on. You doing any more work on the Vegas series?
I will.
Okay.
I'm gonna get 30th anniversary out of the way first.
It's prescient.
Because that's also where I make my money at Wednesday Night Fights. I didn't go this past week, but I got first place last time, so
Cool. All right, folks.
Yeah,
Then, if that's all, anything else that you can think to plug?
yeah, don't look through my Reddit history.
Please don't. All right, so Kiappa. Anyway, folks, that's an episode. I'm gonna call it. Throw in the towel. You can find me at Super Joe Monday on Twitter or at RedditSF on Twitter. That's the official Twitter account for the subreddit. You can just find me on the subreddit, Joe Monday. Other than that, you can, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email in to the show. Type in questions in the subject at redditfighting@gmail.com. So if you want to show me where to find all the long hair Asians PP with stick on Pornhub.com. We are not sponsored by Pornhub.
YouPorn.
Yeah, sure. We are not sponsored by YP. By the way, on this podcast, not sponsored by YP or any affiliate stations whatsoever. But if you have any questions, fill out. And of course, we'll have all the things we talked about mentioned in the show notes. So if you're looking for those links, just scroll down below and you'll find that. But that's the show, folks. So again, thank you, Arlieth, for joining me this evening. Talk about some good old games. It was a good time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Anytime to talk about some old bullshit, I would be happy to have you on. But that's the show, folks. But until next time, take care.